Christmas Eve, y'all. It's crack-a-lackin'. Welcome back to the Homesteads and Homeschools podcast, episode number 48. My guest today is Miss Nicole Parks. You can find her at the Stead at Home Mom. She's over on YouTube and Instagram. And we'll go over those links at the end, and you can find those links in the show notes as well, of course, at homesteadsandhomeschools.com/048. It's a little bit of a shorter episode today. I hope you all enjoy it. I hope it'll make your Christmas brighter. I don't know. Why not, right? When doesn't learning about homeschooling or hearing about homeschooling make your day brighter? Nicole was a former school teacher, and we kind of talk about what it was that made her jump ship, that made her decide to stay at home and homeschool her children and to get out of the indoctrination centers that the public schools have become. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know. Send me some feedback. Go leave a review in iTunes, whatever it is. So we're going to get right into this and go plant those Liberty Seeds with the Stead at Home Mom, Miss Nicole Parks.
Oh, the sun shines each morning. Pass me by with the shadows at my door. I wait to find the early morning empty, 'cause I seem to love you just a little more.
All right, so today my guest is Miss Nicole Parks. She is or was a teacher, depending on how you want to look at that. She was a public school teacher. She is currently teaching her own children now. She has a nice little YouTube channel out there, the Stead at Home Mom. And we're going to talk to her a little bit about that, a little bit about her experience on both sides of the educational coin, if you will. So, Nicole, thank you for taking the time out and coming on and talking. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I enjoy listening to your podcast.
Thanks. So, to start, I guess, how long did you teach for?
I worked in the public schools for 10 years. I worked as an aide, and then I spent 6 years working as a special ed teacher doing resource and inclusion. Okay.
What got you there? What brought you to the public school system?
I actually loved school when I was a kid, especially elementary school, and I loved my 3rd and 4th grade teachers so much, I decided from then on I wanted to be a teacher. So I just, all the way through school, I just pursued that career path because I loved school, and that's just what I wanted to do. Yeah,
I hear that. Was homeschooling ever something that you thought about at all? Whether it was, friends that you had that were homeschoolers, or those weird kids down the block that, you never saw come out during the day because they were busy being homeschooled or something, or...
I never knew any homeschoolers growing up. The first homeschooler I ever met was in college, and that was my best friend's boyfriend. But it was never on the radar. And one reason I wanted to be a teacher, because I knew it would be a good family-friendly career path where my kids would get to come to work with me and we would be off at the same time.
Yeah, there's definitely that side of it. It is family-friendly for the most part when you want to get down to it. So you were there for 10 years. Is it? Mm-hmm. Did you enjoy it while you were there in the beginning, at least, or?
Yeah, I mean, when I was working as an aide, I was getting a lot of experience because I was in college at the time. So that was really nice to I had it easy because all I had to really do was work with the kids and do kind of what the teacher told me to do. And then once I started teaching, it's just kind of just over time having my own classroom and all the responsibilities and all the paperwork and all the requirements. I was like, this isn't fun.
Yes. Yeah. No, it loses some of its zest after you beat the bureaucracy of it all. Yeah. Okay. So did you, I don't know, when you were going to school then, you were doing your student teaching, or not student, how did that work? Did you do student teaching then? Because you're down in Texas.
Yes. So we had the where I went to school, they had Texas will allow if you're working as an aide in where you're getting your certification in. If you do 2 years, that counts as student teaching. So I went to school an extra year so I could keep working full time and count that as my student teaching.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. That's always something that, you pay to go to school and then you have to do your student teaching on top of it and you're paying to work, but, so how long into it before you started to kind of get cold feet or think that, maybe this whole public education thing isn't what it's cracked up to be?
I would say it probably started creeping in my second year of teaching. There were just so many things I was like, well, this isn't right. This sucks. And I saw it because I was a special ed teacher, and it just started with the whole testing and these expectations playing on my kids that they just felt like they were stupid and dumb because they couldn't pass these tests. And then my third year teaching is when the state, according to like No Child Left Behind, they got rid of the modified test for kids in special ed, to where they had to take the exact same test as their peers, with the only thing they were pretty much got was like extra time, a few resources for math, and they could have the questions read to them. And it just broke my heart that these kids we were setting them up to feel stupid and to be failures on a terribly written test.
Yeah, that's it's really curious to think about, because I knew you had mentioned that in one of the YouTube videos there, that like you have these expectations, you have this test that's written out, and you have these kids that are on a different level. They have an IEP, they have a 504, they have some sort of plan that says, they should do otherwise. But then because of this other legislation, they have to take the same test. And there's some modifications, like you said there, but it really, when it boils down to it, you're expecting them to do the same thing that, everybody else is, and they're not necessarily there. They're not necessarily capable of that just yet,
Right. They're usually at least 1 or 2 grade levels behind their peers.
Yeah. It's I can imagine that would be tough, seeing kids kind of get upset with that. Did you see a lot of that, kids getting upset, noticing and taking it to heart, what was going on?
I think there were probably some. You could tell when they were taking the test that the look on their faces, they were just they were defeated before they even started. So many of them. And it just broke your heart. And I would always tell them, like, it's not a big deal. Just try your best. I don't care if you pass it. I just care that you tried, that you used the strategies I taught you. And I did a whole lot of teaching to the test because that's just what was expected of me. And that was something I didn't sign up for when I thought I was going to be a teacher either.
Yeah, I remember some of that. You go through your education there, and you think like you're going to have this classroom and it's going to be yours and you're going to need to do all these wonderful things. And then you get there and realize that there's all these other things that people say you have to do, all these tests that you have to teach to. And it takes away on both sides, whether it's the educator or the student, because they lose out too, but, so what was it that finally kind of drove you home? You said, all right, I'm done. I'm not coming back to school next year. I'm going to stay home and I'm going to hang out with my kids and teach them.
So, well, I had decided by the end of my third year that I was going to homeschool. So I had my oldest, and I was like, we're going to homeschool, and maybe we'll just start at the beginning, like do maybe kinder through third, because I want to lay the foundation and not chance it. And had my second one, and then my last year teaching, got pregnant with my third one, wasn't exactly planned. And I was like, okay, we're done after this year. I also was going to I wasn't going to be able to have the same childcare options either, because my grandparents were watching my girls. So, and it was just like, it's time for me to just really be just a mom and really raise my kids instead of just relying on my grandparents being there with them all during the day, which was a huge blessing to have my grandparents take care of them while I worked. But And I think even by my last year, I was done. I was watching a lot of John Taylor Gatto stuff, like during my my lunch breaks. I was just like, it's like I was done and just ready.
All right. So how old was your oldest then when you pulled the plug?
She was 4 my last year teaching, yes.
Okay. Did you go straight into homeschooling her, or what did that look like for you guys?
So right when I finished up my school year teaching, we moved further north to a county work, because my husband's still a teacher for now. I know he wants to get out at some point as well. So we moved and bought 7.5 acres. And initially I was going to be like gung ho. I'm like, yeah, pre-K, I'm going to teach her to read. She's going to be super smart. And then I started studying the Charlotte Mason method. And she was all about waiting till kids are 6 years old. And then I started reading studies on let kids just be kids. Don't try to force too much on them at such a little age. Like, let them just play. And so I was like, okay, we'll just stick to reading books, learning our alphabet, and just your basic skills.
Good deal. Yeah, we're seeing that kind of now. Like, our older two were totally different than our younger two, and what they're kind of where they come in capability wise. Our older two just kind of picked up on things and went, and we're trying to do the same things with our third one. It's just not happening. You can't force it. You do kind of have to just wait a little bit, and I think let them come around to it. But so do you use the Charlotte Mason curriculum, or do you use a curriculum, or what do you guys do now?
So we're just in kindergarten this year. So I am taking some of her philosophies. So she's very much like doing things in 10 or 15-minute intervals for each subject. So I spend 15 minutes doing phonics, 15 minutes doing math. We'll do like a calendar time, some of your typical kindergarten stuff, reading books. We do classical conversations as for our community group. So we'll recite the memory work. She likes singing the little songs, and they're in the Middle Ages for their history, and then it goes into a lot of European history later on. So I will pick books from the library, or I will buy books that kind of correlate. They're all picture books that correlate to whatever it is they're kind of learning. So that's about as close to as a curriculum as we will follow.
Good deal. How do you like the CC there?
I'm enjoying it. I agreed to tutor. I had never even known what it was. And they said, we need another tutor. You have teaching experience. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And got their training on it. And it's just 3 hours once a week. And she loves it, just loves it.
Yeah, we're thinking about maybe doing that next year. There's a couple groups around here, and a lot of our friends do it, and they speak well of it, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's worth at least trying it for a year and see if it works for your family or not.
Yeah. What do you end up doing with the little one? You got a young one running around there. How does that work into the programs?
So, well, like when we're doing our community day, they're in the nursery. But when we're doing school at home, we spend about an hour a day, and the almost 4-year-old, she'll be 4 in just a couple more weeks, she kind of participates with us, and I do little things with her because she has to do whatever big sister does.
Mm-hmm.
And the baby, she's the one that gets in the way because she's reaching and grabbing for everything. And sometimes I just go stick her in the playroom, and I will shut the door just so I can get through that 15 minutes of our phonics lesson, and then I'll let you out.
That's funny. That's yeah. Our the youngest one is like, he's 3.5 now, but it's just when he's around and we're trying to get stuff done, it's just, man, look out, because he's all over everything. But, so how did when you came out of school and you decided to homeschool your guys there, was your husband on board all the way as well? How did that decision making go?
Yes, he was. I think we both started teaching, having our own classroom the same year. And he pretty quick, we were just very much on the same page as, yeah, we're gonna homeschool. And he's worked in 2 different districts since we both started teaching, and he's kind of just seen the same things that I saw. And he teaches 8th grade U.S. history right now. But yeah, he was very much on board. I mean, I think even before I was saying it, he was already thinking and being like, we should homeschool. And I'm like, yeah, I think you're right.
Nice. Was your family on board with that? You said your grandparents were involved. Did you have mom and dad involved, or?
Yeah, I mean, my mom's a elementary librarian, so she knows enough to know what goes on in public schools. That she was like, okay, and I think because most of my family knows, because I'm a certified teacher, there's just this confidence level that, well, she can teach. She knows how to do it, which I don't think you really need a piece of paper to make you a good teacher. You just need practice and experience. Because my first year teaching, I feel really sorry for those kids because I was not that great. First year teaching. One of my grandmothers was a teacher for many, many years, and she had heard enough of what goes on now in schools that she was very supportive of homeschooling. And then my grandparents that took care of my girls, she's very, you need to do things traditionally. So she was like, she wasn't real thrilled because it's not a traditional thing to homeschool your kids. You put your kids in school. So she's always has a lot of concerns, but anything you do non-traditional, she's going to express, concern for that.
Yeah. That's to be understood. I think when you grow up with all that around you, and that's all you kind of know and grow with, it's there. But so did you guys? I don't know. Did you? I forgot what I was going to ask you, man. I'm sorry. All right. So then you got out of school. You're doing that. All right. So you moved up north then a little bit. I guess you're on some acreage there. You guys growing things, doing things like that outside, or?
So the only thing, we had to do a lot of land, like just prep on the land. There was a previous house here that burned down, and we bought a brand new double wide. So it's been just a lot of mowing, fixing things. We tried container gardening. That did not go very well, but we do have wild blackberries that grow on the land. So that was probably about our only real fresh, food that we were able to get. And dandelions. I cooked some things with dandelions.
Nice.
We just got chickens this week.
Oh, good deal. Good deal. So what you just get some layers, or?
Actually, I don't know what kind of chickens they are.
They're for eggs?
Yeah. We'll do them for eggs.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We just got some meat birds not too long ago. So they're getting big and fat right now, but, all right. And so back on the homeschooling thing, what have you found to be kind of difficult or the biggest change, I guess, going from public school to the homeschool thing? Has there been much in a way that you've had to kind of redirect yourself or learn things differently for yourself and your kids?
I think maybe the biggest challenge was probably just that I had to change my mindset as far as I don't need to expect too much out of my daughter at such a young age, and to remind myself, go slow. Like she doesn't have to prove she's smart just because she's homeschooled. And I mean, as far as, since I did special ed, resource and inclusion, I was used to always having a small group of students. So that did transition very well, of being able to knowing how to work with just one-on-one or with just a couple kids. So that part was at least easy. And that's what I was used to. I never had to manage 20 little kids all at one time.
Yeah, that's a handful. But it is, and I remember for when my wife was out on maternity leave, I was in long-term subbing in a kindergarten class, and it was intense. Like there's a lot of little kids. When there's 25 little kids running around the classroom, that's a lot to handle. But even then, I think it was like 25 kids, and there was a week or two sporadically throughout the year where the teacher basically left me in charge and went outside to like tutor kids one-on-one so that they could then do well on this standardized test that they would have to take, and it was in kindergarten. It's just, I don't know, public school, and it's tests, but
yeah, that's what our school did. When I was first teaching, our school was just a 3 through 5 campus. And then the other elementary school, because it was a small rural farming community, the other school was pre-K through 2nd. And then they transitioned during my 4th year of teaching to being a full. And that's when they started having kindergartners taking these district-made standardized tests. And it was such a huge waste of time because a little 5-year-old is probably going to pick the answer pink because she likes the color pink, and not that had anything to do with answering the question. And it was a waste of my time because I'm supposed to be providing support for this kid to help them, where their gaps are. And I'm instead having to spend my time reading a test to them.
Yeah. I mean, what when you think about school as something that's supposed to prepare you for the real world, right? For whatever that means. But when you're an adult, and I mean, how much time is spent preparing to take a test, like learning how to pick the right answer, or how to, decipher this question because whoever wrote it doesn't know how to use words correctly. Like it's anyway.
It's not real world.
No, well, exactly. Right. It's like just this, I don't know. It blows my mind. I remember the tests sometimes because I graduated in 2001. And so I think when I was like in middle school and high school, the standardized tests were starting to come into practice a little bit more. And the teacher 1 year told us like this test doesn't matter. Like it's not affecting you at all. But we need to study for it and you guys need to take it. And it was just like the biggest joke, like all the kids like were just, okay, I'm just going to write C all the way down and like have half a day off, and like how many kids out there do that, just horsing around and I don't know, being kids.
I had a student 1 year, was 5th grade. I did mostly 5th grade, and he did not read a thing. And he just circled. He would wait for me to read it, and he would circle an answer, and he passed the test. And I was just like, well, I mean, it made me look good.
Yes. Yeah. It's, well, and that's what it comes down to, right? And then that's not how you judge a teacher. I mean, there's so much more that goes into it, but, I guess that's what happens when you have all these standards and money to answer for and all these programs that we have to run and do. But anyway, I don't know, I know you got your YouTube channel there. So I'm recording this way in advance, but you just had one out on Kamala Harris's little program there. What did she call it? For extending basically.
Yes, it was a Family Friendly Schools Act. And I went to her page. I read everything that she claimed on it. And I was like, this is not going to work, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that like, I encourage people to go watch that video. I'll link to it in the show notes, but like that is so much, I think, of what our education system has become, it's daycare. It's these government programs that are supposed to help, right? In quotes, and who knows whether it's really supposed to help or just to make somebody look good or make a job here or give this company a payout over there. But that's what it's become. And I don't know. I think getting your kids out of that is beneficial.
Yes. I mean, for the people that have the ability to homeschool, they need they need to do it and need to try to do it instead of just relying. When I think about it, you're relying on complete strangers to shape and mold and educate your children, and you have no idea what's really going on in that classroom, because I witnessed plenty of things that as a parent I would have been like, I would not want my child in that class with that teacher with the way she behaves.
Yeah, I remember some of that. I remember as a kid, my parents, my mom, kind of echoing those thoughts, and I didn't see it, I didn't recognize it, but I can see it now as an adult. That they're strangers. Sometimes maybe, but sometimes most of the time you don't, and most of the time you don't have a choice in who your teacher is. You don't get to pick who the teacher is, and it's the luck of the draw, I guess. I don't know, but I think I had anyway, but all right. So if people want to find your YouTube channel, what's the easiest way to do that?
So I have YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and it's the Stead at Home Mom.
All right. That's the same thing on Facebook and Instagram as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I will link to all those in the show notes. I have to say I appreciated the 5 reasons why you shouldn't homeschool your kids. I saw that when I clicked on that. I was like, hey, what's this about? And it's pretty spot on. All of them are pretty good there. So
yeah, I can be pretty snarky and sarcastic at times, and I try really hard. God tries to humble me a lot and really rein in that part of my personality, but I was just going to let it all go in that video.
Yeah, it works too, because at first I clicked on it, I thought, maybe this is a genuine list, and we'll see. And yeah, it was genuine, I guess, in a sense, but not quite what I was expecting. So appreciated that. I don't know, any advice, any last thoughts there about people either thinking about getting into homeschooling, or teachers that aren't quite there yet, or anything?
I think I would I would probably recommend people just looking up whether you're teaching or a parent. I think going with John Taylor Gatto is such like a huge inspiration, and just makes you really think and on what you've been led to believe, and really like what you're doing. Like if you're still teaching and what you're doing, and realizing that you're kind of part of an unethical system that you need to try to get out of. Yeah,
it's I'm in the middle of something here, and I can't remember what the title is offhand, but it's I can just imagine you as a teacher watching or reading Gatto in the middle of your lunch hour at the public school. It's just a great image. But is your husband, so you said he's trying to get out, or he wants to get out, or where is he at in that process? What do you guys?
Yeah, since he's kind of our only sort of income right now, that's just kind of where he is. And when my first year not working, it was really, really hard on him, because he realized, okay, I don't have anyone that's going through what I'm going through as far as, the difficulties and challenges. And we just keep toying around different ideas of just something he can do that just gets him out, and something that he can enjoy more. He's been one of those teachers that from the get-go was like, wanted to be like Ron Clark and was going to give it his all. He stayed late, he worked hard. And then he just kind of realized, sometimes it doesn't matter how hard you work or how much you care. You can't beat the system a lot. Yeah.
It takes a special person and special circumstances, I think, to kind of really, really pull through, really shine through on some stuff. But anyway, I appreciate your time, and well, I'll let you know when this goes up. And sorry, I'm like spacey right now. But I think it'll be sometime into December. I got family coming down, so trying to get some things in order here. But that should that should be that. And I don't know. I'll let you know when that goes out. But how often do you post on the YouTube?
Ideally I try to post once a week. Sometimes I don't get my videos to upload in a timely manner and I quit. And right now I post my videos using an iPad instead of using a video camera. So some things are kind of slow, but I try once a week.
How long have you been doing it for?
I just a year I started doing that. But I post to Instagram and Facebook almost daily.
All right. So I'll link to those in the show notes. Anything else you want me to put in the show notes?
I mean, if you just want to, I guess just link to all my social media sites would probably be probably good. And I think putting the 5 reasons not to homeschool, I think that's like been my favorite video I've ever done.
It was quite because there are some things I think there's like, there are some reasons why, I don't know, homeschooling might not be, the right choice, or why, not that homeschooling isn't the right choice, but like the actual decision-making process is for the wrong reasons, and but that was I appreciated that, because it's so much of that is like, you see the memes that go around and you see the comments, and it's just like, yeah, really think about this. Let's actually take this logically to where it ends, and let's think about it. So yeah, I'll put that up there for sure.
Yeah, the day before, and I already had the video planning in my mind, and I was already working on it in my mind. And the day before, I got a comment. It wasn't on my channel. It was on something totally different, of some guy that replied to my comment about how I'm doing a disservice homeschooling my children. And then he listed these 10 most random questions. And he said, I knew this by the time I was 10 to 13. Do you know? So I think he was assuming I was homeschooled myself. I mean, one of them was like, do I know the difference between a muffin and a cupcake? Like, it was so bizarre. And I was like, nobody knows these 10 questions that you're asking, but I can go look them up and research them.
And nobody cares either.
And I was like, I'm sorry you feel that the only way people can learn is being shut up in a classroom for 13 years instead of going to the library or getting on the internet and learning information. But it was kind of like that final, like, I'm doing this video now.
Good deal. That's yeah. Ah, well. Anyway, I appreciate it, and I'll let you know when it goes up. Okay, all right, I'm back. I am back by myself, by my lonesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's always interesting to hear what the actual schools are like from the inside. Somebody that has experienced it recently, and what they have seen has changed their mind, has made them jump paradigms, if you will, and find something new. As soon as I'm done talking, I suggest you guys go over to YouTube and check out Nicole's YouTube channel. She's got lots of good stuff in there. It's fun. She's a character, so she makes it enjoyable. She does make it enjoyable. So go do that, and go leave a review on iTunes. Go tell your friends. Go share this with people that maybe are thinking about homeschooling, maybe aren't sure about it, maybe have some doubts or whatever it is. Let them hear these good vibes. Enjoy your Christmas. Come back on Boxing Day, when I will have a little update of all the things happening around here. And I may even have a special guest for a couple minutes. No, it's not my wife. I've been trying to rope her in, harangue her here and there to get her on, and she is refusing. She's refusing. And so you have to come back and find out who that is. But it'll be here on Thursday, on Boxing Day, when you're out returning all those Christmas presents you don't want, when you're putting everything back in their boxes and being done with it all, I'll be here for you. Anyways, folks, do all those things I told you, and have a blessed Christmas. Have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy yourselves and enjoy your family. Enjoy the season. And remember, get out there, plant those liberty seeds. We can all reap sheaves of freedom together.